What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Here is our oil-free YFZ build, and this is part 2. So see how we took it from a bluish spray painted frame all the way to a finished build, and then at the end take it for a rip. So here is our new engine. It's out of a 2022 YFZ that had been wrecked. Drove to South Carolina for it and got it on the floor ready to throw stage 2 cam in it. And check the last video for the update on that Z400. It's done. But for the YFZ, here's our frame. Just came back from powder. We still got to put all the seals in, all the ball joints in, all the roller bearings and the A-arms. So let's get to that. Ball joints put in. So go ahead and we'll probably just show you one A-arm because I'm going to end up dropping the little press tool about 300 times. So I don't want to record all that. I'll just record one, kind of show y'all what I do to put the ball joints and the rest of the A-arm back together. So we're just going to give it a little hit. Don't hit it too hard, and then we're going to put it in the press. Maybe a little bit bigger. Alright, then we got our snap ring. We got our Matco snap ring pliers. So get that on there. Alright, so we got our two brand new Hauser needle bearings and seals. And then we have one of our aluminum driver kits. This is what we're going to use to press the needle bearings in. So just grab a bearing and probably a little bit more than that for the seal to get in there. Alright, so we're going to go about halfway with this one, and then we'll take our seal. We're going to put grease on all this here in just a couple minutes, but then we just pop our seal in place, and then other side we got our needle bearing again. Going in much smoother, and then we'll stop right there. Get our driver tool back out like that, and then I got one more side to do, and then we have brand new barrels to go in here, and then we're going to reinstall our Zerk fittings and then grease the outside of the barrel, you know, the needle bearings around the seals, and whenever we put the dust cap on, we'll make sure to grease around that also. Been trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mind. So we're back working on the frame up XC build today. We get our A-arms ready to go. We just got our shocks back from Rocket Ron. Just rebuild, new valves, or new seals, new fluid, and we'll go ahead and make sure those are aired up once we do get the bike on the ground. I found these online, which is like I guess a copy of the PEP longer clutch arm. So we're gonna try these. These were only a couple dollars. What's up, everybody? We are back on the XC build. Had to take a little bit of time off. Had to have surgery again. Was sick for a bunch of months, but doing much better now. So we got the wheels on. We tightened a few more bolts. We have one of the heel guards on. I think whenever I left off last time, we were on the intake. So intake is installed. We're gonna trim the plastic up a little bit right there on either side. Get the battery support in. We already got the Vortex in place. We're going to start map 1, 2, 2, 3 and see how it goes. It does have stage 2 hot cams in it, so that might affect it a little bit. It's still on 93, and I think that's besides bleeding the brakes. We just did the 600 temp Motul brake fluid, and then Monday we got tearing into the clutch. So this is an old Rekluse I had on a previous setup. I just had to bring it out of the box, and it had problems the whole time I owned it. It would slip constantly, and sometimes it would grab, sometimes it wouldn't. So we're gonna go ahead and rebuild it. I put it in this bike just to verify that it did have problems, and sure enough, the bike wouldn't even move. So if we come over here. All right, so here's our EXP disc. This is what expands and makes the clutch work, and makes the clutch grab. So if we take the top layer off, these ramps, you can see on these ramps, they're supposed to be smooth, and they're supposed to actually have like a cross hatching to them, and these are trashed. So I watched one of the videos that they had sent me about doing basic maintenance. I kind of already knew how to take it apart, but I watched the video real quick, and they showed their version of like a worn ramp. These are like 10 times worse. So the Teflons on all of the weights are completely ground down. Luckily, it looks like it didn't get into any metal. So we're just going to replace the Teflons. And then we looked at the setup it had. It had gold and blue, which these springs go in here opposite sides. And gold and blue is actually like extremely high RPM engagement. So I'm not exactly sure why you'd want that. So we're going to go back to the blue and red. So I got a brand new set of blue and red springs to go back in it. So now we're just going to take the Teflons out. We got our new Teflons here, and go ahead and rebuild all the weights. And then once we get done with that, we will put it all in our new disc. This is a new EXP disc from Rekluse. You can see the ramps, how they're supposed to look. And then we're going to soak this guy in oil for about 5 minutes, and then go ahead and put new steels and new fibers in the clutch. Okay, so all of our new Teflons are in, weights are in, made sure they move good. We have our top EXP disc So put that guy on there, and then doesn't matter where you start, we're just going to do red. We're going to take our push pins. And the other side we got our blue springs. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take our plates back out. We put them in to do that one test and we realized, hey, the clutch, it's not the basket, it's definitely the clutch, so it needs to go. So we get that part. I think there's one more disc. Yeah, there it is. So if you're going to use the Rekluse and the cushions that come factory, you got to put this slim plate in first. So we're going to go ahead and replace this one also. And we have our new plates, soak them in the oil. This is going to make a big mess. Alright, so we had our skinny plate set out separate, so that one can go on first. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Okay, so it looks like the initial adjustment actually did get pretty darn close, so we'll probably go ahead and run with it. On the front end, we're going to do half on both sides. So I already got it set. Zero the gauge out, and there's half. So, and then we're going to try the 3. So spindles are rotated towards the backwards. And on setting 3, I'm going to carry some tools with us to the trail though. Usually on the setup before this, I did 2. And I liked it pretty good, so we'll try 3, see how it goes. We might end up changing it back. So at this point, the front end is set up, and I went to sit on the seat, got the seat cover done, put it on, and whenever I was kind of bouncing up and down, the rear shock, you could hear like almost like a suction sound. And sure enough, I jumped off, looked underneath it, and there's a small puddle, and within a couple minutes, the puddle was pretty large. So luckily, Rocket Ron hit him up, and one day turnaround got me the shock back and was able to throw it back in and keep on going. So last piece, but very important piece. Honestly, the skid plate could probably make or break a race. If you saw my previous series with my personal 2017 XC build, I was coming down a hill, brand new quad to me. I kind of looked it over for a couple hours before the race. Coming down a hill, trying to jump over a log, and I had just an aftermarket skid plate that kind of stuck down in the front. It didn't have one of these rounded nose, and the nose caught the bottom of the log, and the skid plate split, and then it went all the way back to the foot pegs pretty much. So the skid plate was stuck in the ground, the quad was over the log, and I was stuck. If there wouldn't have been staff there within 15-20 minutes, I probably would have had to disqualify that entire race just because of skid plate. Alright, so here we got our skid plate. We're going to go logo up because the indentions are on the bottom for the screws to go in. So we got this. These will be in baggies whenever you get them. And then those go there. We got the smaller bolts with the nuts. Those go there and there. Washer goes on top. And then we have 4 of these Allens. These Allens go in these holes. And then we got 4 extra washers, so those go where the plastic is on this side. And then we do small spacers in front large spacers in the back, and then we have our steering rack. So this will compress the front. It goes like this, so the steering has plenty of room. And then we have longer bolts and shorter bolts. Shorter bolts go up front, longer bolts go in the back. So the first step is to go ahead and heat up this nose and go ahead and get it to bend just a little bit. We're not going to tuck it all the way over and drill the frame on this one. The bumper has a nice tuck-in spot right there, and that'll give us that nice kind of rounded nose. That way it can't catch on anything. The longer bolts go in the front on this this part that goes around the column, because this front part actually touches the shock mount. So we gotta take these ones back off. Alright, so that'll finish up this install. As you can see, the front has a nice rounded edge on it. That way it doesn't get caught on anything. Your shock mounts are protected. If it'll focus. Alright, so you can see your shock mounts are protected. The front and the rear. And then all the way to the back, and it has a little tail that hangs off also. So protect that, that rear link just a little bit. But that's the final install on the bad plastic skid plate. Got the YFZ down here in the woods, so you know the first step. Probably stretch, but it's too late. I already got my boots on, so fuck that. And we're gonna go through the fuel trim first. So I'm gonna warm it up for sure. The clutches still aren't 100% broke in. And then after that, I'm gonna start playing around with the Vortex settings. Kind of boring, but it's worth doing for about 5 minutes just to make sure that we have the right settings. So you'll just see me go back and forth, get off, pop the seat up, change a setting or two, take it back down the trail, try the same trail each time, make sure it's the same results, and then kind of go from there wherever the bike pulls the hardest, but not too hard where you think it's kind of lean. So go ahead and warm the bike up. Alright, we're on like our third test pass now, and I've messed around with it a little bit, and 3-3-5, we're going to give that one more shot. Alright, just a short little putt down the trail, and I can already tell you that the spring rate and the shocks are too light. So it's supposed to be off the ground for this, but I forgot my jack, so we're just going to lift the front end up as high as we can, and then go ahead and put a little bit more pressure in them. Like 115. I'm gonna go 150. I know it's a big jump, but I've had several of these pairs, and as well as setting up Custer's bikes, and I know that we usually end up somewhere around 150, 155. For bigger riders, 175 to 185. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put 150 in them. So that's going to finish up this build. This was kind of like a victory lap, just kind of cruise down to the lake. It's about a 25-minute ride, medium speed. Not trying to push it too hard. I want to keep the powder coat nice. This trail up in Canton, Georgia, is super rough. If you get going fast, you'll end up kicking up rocks and everything else. So just kind of cruising, but Vortex, we did stop on map 1335 with stage 2 cams, Dasa full exhaust, and the fuel customs intake. And it's pretty peppy. So we kept it on 93. If the customer wants to change that later, we can definitely change it. And then suspension setups, we did 55 ride height, 150 in the main chamber. And then the rear spring was set up by Rocket Ron, 165 pounds, and all that good stuff. So it'll make a good machine. It definitely got some views. So it was one of our most popular we probably ever posted. So on Facebook, just in one day, it got 35,000 views. On Marketplace, it got, I think, 1,800 saves in one day. So it was a looker for sure. But on to the next one. You know how it goes. So it sold within about a week or two, and it stayed here in Georgia. So I hope we'll see it up at Iron Mountain, maybe Durham Town every now and then. And now we're started on another YFZ. So next one is codename Kylo. I'll let y'all figure that out, all the nerds, and we'll see you on the next one.